Welcome to Authentic Online Marketing with Ruthie Gray. Growing awareness for your blog, podcast, book, or product involves more than dancing to reels and yelling, "Buy my thing." This show models quality over clamor so you can put your spin on your message and market in a way that feels authentic to you, because nobody wants to sound like an infomercial. And now, here's your host, Ruthie Gray.
Hey, y'all, and welcome back to the podcast. It's now 2022, and we are going to share some social media predictions for you. So even though some of them are not directly to do with Instagram, they all are interrelated, and you'll see why as we go along. First of all, thanks for coming back and listening. And we hope you've had a great Christmas, great holidays. And my daughter is here with us today, and we're going to have a conversation about this. Welcome, Hayley.
Woohoo! I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
We're glad you're here again. For those of you who don't know, Hayley works with me, and we do a lot of partner in crime kind of things, don't we?
Oh, yeah. We're a great team.
I think so, too. Just side note, y'all, having your kid work for you is just like, it's just a bonus because you get to talk to them all the time, every day. So
that's true.
Lots of laughs, lots of work laughs, work jokes,
work
around the water
jokes.
cooler. All right, let's talk about the 7 social media predictions for 2022. Hayley, why don't you start us off with number 1?
Okay. So number 1, we have Instagram Reels. Reels is still obviously going to be a really important tool for your small business or for your social media strategy, because Instagram Reels, as you probably know, they recently came up with their own algorithm within the app. So Reels is kind of like its own little whole other algorithm where you could get seen aside from the main feed. So that makes Reels a really good tool to utilize with having its own algorithm. Another reason why we're seeing that Reels is going to be important in 2022 is because TikTok is also still growing, which, as you probably know, TikTok has the same function or very similar function to Reels. And as that's growing, Reels is going to grow too, and Instagram is going to be pushing out Reels within the app to help keep you on Instagram rather than moving to TikTok. They kind of want to be your one-stop shop for all of your different social media avenues.
Yes, that's one reason why Instagram has seemed so random and crazy and all over the board in 2021, because they are trying to be the top dog. So if you are still struggling to get on the Reels bandwagon, just know that we have some resources for you to help you with that. One is our Reels personality quiz. So you may be an encourager, you may be an educator, or you may be an entertainer. So if you just go to the website at ruthiegray.mom, you will see that Reels personality quiz and be able to take that. And then you will receive 40 ideas for your Reels, so you can implement that. And beyond that, we also have a Reels crash course, and it will show you behind the scenes. I do behind the scenes shooting of the Reels and telling why I do what I do and some little hacks that you may not have learned elsewhere. So we do have those for you, and we will link those in the show notes. Okay, now let's go with prediction number 2, Hayley.
So for number 2, I'm hearing that Facebook ads are going to be more effective. Facebook has said that they are going to make a lot of new updates and changes to make Facebook ads a lot more efficient and effective in the future in 2022. And obviously that directly correlates with Instagram. So we're hoping that they will be not only more accessible to small business owners, but also more effective.
Yes, because as you know, if you want to run an Instagram ad, you have to set it up through Facebook because they own both of them. And so therefore, we are hoping that Facebook is really going to stay true to this prediction that ads are going to be more effective, because we've seen a dip in that in 2021. A lot of people have been discouraged. And yet it does still seem to be an effective tool. And it seems like it is going to get better in 2022. So we'll buckle our seatbelts and wait on that. All right. So then how about number 3, Hayley? What's going on there?
So for number 3, what I have is that long form content is going to be kind of rising a little bit closer to the top again. So for a really long time, people were hanging out on, YouTube or Vimeo, other places where there was a lot of longer form videos and that kind of long form content. And then everything kind of got more bite-sized, and it was like you didn't really see that as much. But we're definitely going to start seeing a little bit of a rise in that, simply because video in general is going to be kind of ruling all the different platforms. So pretty much any kind of video that you can utilize, you're going to want to do that. So something to add right here with long form things growing again, something that you'll want to do is make sure you're incorporating those bite-sized things like reels or even just static posts, because some people are going to want a break from all of the long form stuff that we're going to be seeing in 2022. So just make sure that you're going across all your different avenues and using short form as well as long form things, because some users are going to get on social media to sort of get a break from the long form things. And this will just allow you to cater towards a wider variety of audience members if you are just making sure that you're incorporating all the different forms of video, long and short form.
Right. And just a side note here, in case you've been away from the video aspect of Instagram, all video is kind of merged except for stories, the short and the long form, as far as there's no more IGTV. It's all just in one place there. It looks like it's under the play icon. If you go to your profile, you'll see it there. So whether you make, a 60-minute video training or something like that, or a 6-minute, it's all going to be housed under the same thing as far as that type of video in your feed. So there's that kind of video. And then there's the stories, of course, which is different. And then there's reels, which is also different and usually shorter as far as we know right now. Right?
Yeah. So everything but reels right now, as far as video goes, on your profile, if you haven't had this update already, is going to be underneath that play button icon in its own section called Instagram Video, which was formerly IGTV and is now offering the same function as IGTV, plus storing all of your other video posts in that section besides reels.
Yes. Okay. You explained it a lot better than I did. So good job. This is why we have a young person on the team.
It's very confusing because they are changing all the time.
Yes, they are. They are. So, and by the way, I did want to give Hayley props. She did the research for this, and she's pretty, savvy as far as knowing the direction that trends are going. So we are lucky to have her in our back pocket. And now let's see what's up for number 4, Hayley.
So number 4 is kind of like a mini point. Number 4 is just sort of piggybacking off of number 3, with long form video taking over again. We are probably going to see YouTube making a comeback. YouTube has remained popular over the past few years, even while the shorter form content has started to rise. But it's definitely not as popular as the other social media apps that we're seeing. But they are expected to have a comeback, just with all video, like we said, becoming more popular again and kind of taking over. So what that's going to mean for if you're an Instagram user, Facebook, or however you like to promote your business on social media, you're probably, like we said, going to want to experiment with those long form videos, because as YouTube potentially is going to become more popular, Instagram will also want to start boosting their more long form video elements.
Yeah. And I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard earlier in the year that YouTube and TikTok are the top two rivals for Instagram. Is that true?
I think that is true as of recently, because just video all over the place. Video is definitely, all of those apps that have video at the forefront are really popular.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What's number 5?
So number 5 isn't so much of a trend as it is a concept. So basically, number 5 is the more you use the Instagram app, the more you're going to be rewarded. So what we mean by this is basically the more that you are spending time on Instagram, the more Instagram is probably going to boost your content and give it to a wider variety of audience members. The reason this is because Instagram is going to get a lot more saturated. That's going to keep happening because we're seeing more small business owners and business owners in general switching to remote roles, and they're utilizing Instagram a lot. So there's going to be a lot more competition there as far as using the app. But the reason this could be a good thing is because there could be more traffic. So you could have a higher opportunity for someone who's new to come across your content because of this.
And we will probably do a follow-up just based on this one number here, because there is so much more we were talking beforehand that goes along with this. And we know that we don't want to spend all of our lives on Instagram. And so we want to make this doable. You want to still be able to build a platform and then get off the app too, not live your whole life there. So hopefully, Hayley, in an upcoming edition, we will share more with you about how to be more concise and still make Instagram work for you.
Definitely.
All right. Number 6.
So number 6 is that we are going to see shorter trend lifespans. So over this past year and a little bit in 2020, we've already seen trends kind of lifespans get shorter and shorter. Meaning when you first got TikTok or when you first started using Instagram Reels, the trending sounds and the trending video trends or whatever it may be, those were going on for, sometimes they were going on for a couple weeks, and then we've seen that kind of shrink. And now you can kind of see that like one day there's a trend that's happening and then you might not even see it again. Like the next day there is a whole different trend. So it's kind of hard to know, when should you jump on trends? And it's going to get even harder to figure that out in 2022 because there's going to be just an even shorter trend cycle because of all the trends that are going to be going on. So what this means for you as someone who makes content, especially if you're someone who is making content to aid in the production of your small business, is that you're going to want to really be pushing out original content. You want to be giving your audience something that only you have, something consistent. It's basically your safety net because you can't just be relying on trends. Trends will only get you so far in 2022.
Right. So if you want to stand out, then make original content. Use content that has your own voice in the background. You can narrate, or you can just talk as you're showing yourself, even have music in the background or something like that. So think how you can present your own content in your own voice authentically for you. That's what this whole podcast is about. And our business is about, is helping you build your platform authentically for yourself to be true to your own voice and to your beliefs and your passions as a Christian female business owner, and learning how to operate and navigate the platform in your own specific way. Because when you do that, then you draw your own specific, unique audience. And last but not least, number 7, Hayley.
So number 7 is that we may be seeing a decrease in the traffic of infographics on your social media feed and an increase in the traffic in video in general, which we kind of already talked about, how video is taking over everything. But I think that's important to know as small business owners. So there was a popular social media prediction website recently that just did a poll, and all of these large social media marketing companies participated in this poll. And the poll was basically asking which formats they were going to start utilizing in 2022 for their social media campaigns. And the one that was ranking at the lowest percentage was infographics. And the one at the top was videos. So just make sure that you are incorporating infographics. They're a great tool. They're a very quick way to let your audience and those who may be scrolling past your post for the very first time know exactly what you are all about in a really concise way. Those should always be really simple, at least, even if you're using a carousel, the first slide needs to be simple. It should be something that will easily catch your eye and get your message across as someone is scrolling through their feed. But just make sure that you're mixing it up and you're not just using too many infographics.
Well, and again, we have to be sure that we don't always use the same thing, like always a quote or an infographic, or even us on video in the same position every single time, because people kind of get used to that and then they start tuning out. So you want to make sure that your content is not only valuable and offering something that no one else is, but is interesting too. Thank you for these trends, Hayley. These are great. And I just want to say, so let me just review the 7 social media predictions for 2022. And then I want to wrap up with a little word of encouragement. First, it's going to be Reels. They're not going away anytime soon, but we have figured out a way to help you make them fit with your personality. Go take that quiz on our website. Number 2, Facebook ads are expected to be more effective. So good news. Number 3, long form video is going to have a second rise. So you can be encouraged with that to mix up long and short form video. Then number 4, YouTube's making a comeback. So that goes right along with the long form video. Instagram is in competition with YouTube and TikTok especially. And so they are wanting to keep up with those trends. Number 5, Instagram wants to keep you on the app. So the more you post, the more you interact, the more you engage, the more you're going to be rewarded. So you're going to need to learn how to maximize your time on the app. Then number 6, shorter trend lifespans. So we won't be able to stay on top of these all the time. So learn how to make your own original content, possibly your own voice in the background. Number 7, infographics are good and useful, but they're down the line. They're underneath the priority of video. So what I wanted to tell you that should encourage you is, remember, these are just predictions, and predictions are basically trends. And remember that trends rise and fall, so the big news on Instagram last year was all of a sudden everyone can have a link in their stories. Now, we all know that it used to be the benchmark was 10,000 followers in order to have the swipe up in stories. Well, earlier this year, Instagram took away the swipe up and said, oh, you can have a link now, you 10,000 plus. This is January right now of 2022. And then more recently, they said, no, we're just kidding. Everybody can have the link in stories, which is absolutely crazy, but wonderful. So that's a trend. So what I'm saying is, be encouraged that a lot of these things that come about will come to pass. Long form video is coming back. but so is short form video. And all of these other things will take their turn and roll with the tide. What you want to do for sure is maintain a consistent presence on the platform, delivering value. So we hope that you've enjoyed our 2022 trends today. Thank you, Hayley, for joining us. And I just want to ask you, if you have enjoyed this podcast, this episode, or any episode, would you mind snapping a picture of the podcast on the app of your choice, or of you listening to the podcast? Share it in stories and tag me at Authentic Online Marketing Pod. And we just want to see who's out there listening, and we will share and tag you back. And let's just get on the app and develop your platform and grow it in 2022. Thanks for listening.